Here, if FPX decides to leave up something really appetizing to maybe make sure they get Talia for themselves, something like a Varus for Light, just if they value Talia that much, that could be an option for FPX. Of course, game 1, they did ban Ezreal and Varus on blue side. They will keep those on red. And because they let through the Rumble and the Gwen game 1, that does really open up some of the red side bans, as those two champions have been staples of red side bans throughout this split of the LPL.
Kalista getting taken off the board now with FPX's last ban looming. Again, you mentioned the Talia, but think of the other power picks we have available. Jace, Ambessa, Sion, which has been a big one up on the top side. Something to note, definitely some really good picks available. And of course, Jace that can be flexed. We're going to see the Skarner get taken out. Like, you know, still surprised that teams are taking out Skarner. It hasn't been nearly as ubiquitous in Split 2 so far.
I mean, if it is first pick Jace for Breathe, then you got to imagine that FPX do what they did yesterday against anyone's Legend and go for that Talia Sion that they were able to play. They slammed that 1-2 yesterday, so if they don't break it up, you know it's going to be slammed again today, as Xiaohu going to try his own hand at this Talia, so we'll see what he can do.
We said it in Game 1 draft. He gets Talia. It's almost a guaranteed dub, 70% win rate in his career on many, many games. Now, Cubby, what are you expecting the answer to be for this Talia?
Triss Maokai, I think, is what I want to see. I know Shadow has yet to play Maokai in this scenario. I think that they bring a lot of reach to actually deal with Talia. Can be quite good, but wow, this is quite the opener for FPX. They're just going to blind top and jungle as they slam that Sion down blind and pair it up with a Lilia. So potential for Tristana mid still. And we'll see if Weibo, and if they want to break that, they're going to throw it bot on Light's hands, which is quite tough. But Weibo going to fill out the rest of their draft here. And just really curious to see FPX feel so confident this top side. They're just going to slam it blind.
Yeah, I like the power they're displaying out of these first two picks. But you have to wonder, maybe their ego's getting a little bit too big. And they're like, oh, we've got a game to play with. No, you don't. You're 0-4. You do not have a game to play with. Don't act like that. Try to 2-0 this series. The Ambessa will get locked in, so we're going to see Breathe's Ambessa. Hasn't been excellent, but we are potentially going to see Tian's Jin Zhao. Please lock this in. The dude is so good on it.
Going to be grabbed as Oh Boy Care. We have seen Zed be played into Talia. Again, expect an AD champion mid. I'm still expecting Triss, but Care's got a smile on his face hovering the Zed. And we'll see if they end up grabbing that, or, of course, maybe he feels like he's able to drop AD. Or drop mid and pick an AD here. That is another option here for FPX. Or take a prio support, grab that. They are going to slam the Corki, which potential to be flexed with Awesome, and we'll start to throw some bans out as Zig's taken away.
Yeah, we've seen it a little bit less in the mid lane, but still, still a valid option. And, with that, we're going to see some bot laners probably get taken away here. Obviously, you mentioned the Ziggs. Don't know how concerned Weibo is about aiming at the supports, and it looks like very concerned, as Jwei's Nico has been pretty good this year.
Yes, and I think that's a deserved ban. Also very telling that Hong probably wants to blind and engage support here. So I think stuff like Leona, Nautilus, those are the two that are up that you got to believe both teams are going to take a peek at. I do think that going up against Lilia, it is very important to try and pick that champion. And with that Braum being banned, it really does force Weibo. I mean, if they ban Nautilus or Leona, the other one gets given over. So curious to end up banning something else. I think that the Braum just is banned because they don't want to deal with Ashe Braum from Light and Hong.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, but I do think there was a world that maybe you could have taken the Braum for yourself, but maybe you ban the Ashe and leave that up. But I leave that up to the really smart people and you. Straven is going to get taken away.
What's
as you
that
mentioned,
mean, Yanni?
I mean, you're a color caster. You're smarter than me. That's how it goes.
Oh, it would, by smart people and me. I thought you were implying
something
something nefarious.
No. I wanted to make sure that you were included in the smart people.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you, Yanni. I will save my clips for later. We're going to keep those in the bank. Jinx being locked in for Awesome. That's a lot of scaling and a lot of backline here for FPX. And Weibo, got to believe they can take some more stuff to break it. We haven't seen a lot of Aphelios of late. But Light thinking about that could be locked in. Okay.
I like it. His champions haven't been that good this year. So he's just going to go to them anyway. So I'm really happy about it. I'm going to be a little bit sad because this means it's going to be a Nautilus pick because there's Jinx on the other side. I love Thresh, and whenever I see Aphelios, I get a little excited, but no excitement for me. Wait a minute. Oh, wait. I forgot.
An option.
I forgot. Come on. Please. That's so much better. That's so much better. Thresh is so bad right now.
It is. I actually wouldn't mind Blitz, but of course Thresh, you
Yes!
did the Lantern.
Yes!
And Yanni,
Ah!
you get a treat for yourself as Jwei is going to try and make sure that the flexibility of Thresh gets taken advantage of in this matchup. Big interaction, of course, that flay with the dredge line. You got to wait for after it hits and Nautilus bounces back. Then you can flay him away and try and get away from that auto attack. As he needs to pretty much take Glacial Augment in order to get that off, but you can match it. So we'll see if end up metagaming that in the back in the bot lane. I do think the Thresh really wants Aftershock in this matchup, but quite curious because this makes for quite the lack of frontline for FPX, and
yeah,
honestly, probably for the best going up against something like an Aphelios, because the setups you really want to be having the enemy team play into you and have that ability to interact. We'll see if Light is given the space to do so, as Zintalia will help a lot in terms of making that space happen for Light.
Yeah, I will say, as happy as I am to see the Thresh, I don't think it's the best pick here, right? I'm going to, use my my prowess on this champion to make some bold declarations here. Obviously, it's great for the Jinx, and, Corki will get some value out of it, but, like, you're really relying on a couple of Swirl Seeds or, the entirety of Weibo walking up to Shadow to really kick off the CC, or you're looking for Scion over the top, right? I mean, Thresh, a champion that is incredibly rewarding when you're so skilled, and Jwei, he's an LPL support, he's so skilled, but guess what? On the other side, you're playing against some of the best in the world, too. They know what all the tricks are.
Yeah, we'll see if they're up to the task going up against this Thresh. I'm with you. I really favor Weibo's comp here. I think their ability to make plays on the map, it's dominant, and I'm not sure who on FPX is going to catch these dredge lines, can afford to catch a public execution. It really feels like hope things miss, hope Lilia and the marksman scale throughout the fight, and hope not enough plays come down early to slow this comp down, as the onus is going to be on Weibo to make those early plays with the comp they have, and we'll see if they're up to the task.
Still nothing for them? Still nothing for FPX? They're up in the series. Somebody... you know what? They don't need...
They've seen past series. Yeah, they've seen the past series and know that FPX being up in a series is not enough to net the kill, sitting at 0-4.
It's too late. It's too late to Gyro if they win the series 2-0, right?
True.
You'd be like, wait a minute. Do you do this after they win? They already fought.
Hey, the true fans cheered there, and they may not be many, but they still exist.
I think you said many instead of any, it sounded like.
But
maybe they will make some fans out of LPL fans across the globe.
Breathe is here. They're expecting this 4-5 man. They have the Ambessa here. This is huge.
Oh, this is so risky. Jwei's gonna eat the hook, and yeah, this is tough.
That's 5.
Gonna burn flesh.
I mean, the health bar war actually ends up going over to Jwei, and Breathe has to walk top. He will slingshot back into this matchup, but will be a lead for Scion early game for a little bit here for sure.
Thank goodness the box of lane swap was reduced, because Weibo almost detected lane swapping. I would have sent you straight to jail, but not gonna happen here. Is Hung a little low on the HP department, but Jwei has no summoners whatsoever. Thresh early game is not tanky at all. He has no scaling armor. He just has his base armor and souls.
Tian.
Do hit level 2 first.
Wait. Jwei just hex flashed in.
Oh no.
Oh,
this
no.
is so bad. Oh, this is so bad. Jwei, my guy,
Wait.
please. This is a damn disaster. He's going to go down. First blood over to Tian. Shadow is going to come through, but that's less time for him to clear his jungle.
Shadow one camped and came. Not worth. As you cannot do as much as is in there, and some unlucky timing as Jwei took the hex flash in. Right as Tian showed on a ward, and that signaled the death sentence for Jwei. So, I guess Shadow continues to fall behind, and first blood going over to Tian. Some goofy jungle pathing early on will mean that lower economy for each. That is advantage to the Xin Zhao. Still, we have really scales off of economy, and that's it. So, like the start that we have here for Weibo.
Yeah, super good. Kill on Tian, one of his champions that he's really played so much and driven to great success. And, you know, this mid-jungle duo in their champion picks show that Weibo not messing around here in Game 2. As FPX, they're going to have to farm this one out for just a little bit. Let Awesome get big. Let Shadow clear his jungle.
Shadow not even going to look at this crab. Knows that it's in the hands of Tian, who still has that red buff up. Never mind. He is going to look, but no smite. Yep. Should have taken my advice. Not looked.
Yeah.
Now, Xin spotted on that top side sheer. Sees him dip back into the jungle. So, able to still be aggressive in this top lane and care. Staying aggressive in this mid lane, playing that marksman into the Talia. Been nice to see some of these Valkyries come out around the Unraveled Earth. So, when that cooldown is down, knowing that he can step up and get some free-firing damage into the Talia. So being well-managed here by Kara so far.
Cubby, I just want to point out that that move by Shadow is why you were a designated smart person in champion slot.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a big reason why. But you're right. You know, Kara, going back to him, going back to being serious, absolutely doing a good job in the early going in this lane, keeping Xiaohu down, getting some CS for himself. You're going to need some help to get a kill, though, in a lot of cases. Because once Xiaohu hits level 6, all bets are off, man. Your Valkyrie does not go as far as the Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, that's okay, though. As long as he's able to get some economy against the Talia, can be really nice if you're early on those spikes, as Corki can be big. So I feel like that's where things are heading. Tian, second smite used on the second crab as he picks up both, and now that he is spotted, so Awesome and Jwei will have to back off a bit on that bot side.
Dragon coming up. We're seeing a back come through for Tian. Grubs in about a minute. Imagine that Weibo maybe hunting after the Grubs. And Bessa will certainly be a force in a side lane laner, as can Talia be. We'll see what the move is, because it does look like Tian is redeploying on bottom side.
I think that these early Grubs are going to be kind of dangerous here for FPX. Sheer does have that TP available to get back if they really want to contest this, but that's where I get worried about the Talia versus Corki. Talia and Xin just bring so much more to a first Grub fight than their counterparts in Lilia and Corki. Not to mention if Hong were to make his way up there too on this Nautilus. I know that he's behind level 3 on the Nautilus. They're trying to hide here. Actually might do so successfully. Blue-purple's dangerous. Jwei's too far up in this matchup. They think they base, but they're lying in wait.
And you can see Tian is already on the way. No flay available for Jwei right now, but they might be able to just walk it out. The Hex Flash is going to come through. When becomes lighting on top of Jwei, he's going to land the hook, but get hooked himself. But there's the Chompers. They're going to do a lot of work. Knockups are coming through. Jwei's going to go down, but Awesome is going to be able to get a kill. The reset isn't as fast because of the slow, but Hong has run out of space, and it's a double kill for Shadow. A nice turnaround from FPX.
I'm really surprised that they waited for the 3v3. Of course, they didn't know Shadow was going to be there, but I think they just win the straight-up 2v2 with Tian rotating. You have Aphelios sitting on blue-purple. I know they didn't base yet, so they were no items. I think that's why they were waiting for the 3, but even if you took a small trade there, it could have been CC and stuff applied before that Xin gets involved. With them waiting so long, it really opened up Shadow to create the space. And again, if you're fighting now, maybe they don't walk this way, but at least you're applying the purple gun, which, you know, has that root, has the slows. And then Tian made a really big mistake here, actually flashed into the Chompers. Looks like he kind of shorted it on the back half, so mechanical misplay from him, and then Hong, of course, at level 3 just gets melted down after going in as the Nautilus. So Weibo gonna end up losing, or I was gonna say maybe losing the first Drake off that, but it looks like it was pulled off of. And it will be the first Grubs being taken by Tian, so win out on the neutrals, but unforced error from them in the bot side, and I think really mismanaged by Light and Hong.
Yeah, and then, you know, FPX, they went and tried to greed for the Dragon and, you know, mess up your tempo a little bit, right? This Dragon is still up. You would have really loved to have it because Ocean Dragon, pretty solid one when you're in the laning phase. You lose out on the Grubs, so Weibo, as you said, and coming up on the objective trade, and maybe we'll still have some opportunities to try and get this Dragon themselves. 7.5 minutes into this game right now. Still waiting for Xiaohu to make his big move on this Talia that was first.
I do have a pause in the action here, as Shadow going to look to at least dive in to take the enemy Raptors. But Dragon, both teams might be looking at in the back half, as I will say, I still think the fight's a little bit scary here for FPX, just given the strength of the Xin Zhao and what Talia can bring to a fight. So going to have to rely on the priority that Corki and Jinx can net if they do want to take this dragon. I think avoiding a fight going to be important. And Sheer did TP top, whereas Breathe has TP up to get involved. So Weibo do have an opportunity to look, find a numbers advantage here if they really want it, but looks like they're okay with dropping this one.
I'm a little surprised. The Felios has a BF sword in the inventory. Easily the strongest member, or maybe at least matching with Shadow. But, you know, electing to just take the scaling there. As we all know, Felios champion that scales incredibly well. So not too much of a need to actually push the pace if you don't want to.
Do appreciate the walk from Sheer. It was just walking down the river to threaten a Sionar in case a fight was taken in the river by Weibo. So, of course, no TP on Sheer doesn't mean that he can't get involved. I'm going to try and get involved on the blue buff take, and that's just going to be yoinked by Tian. There's no way you can contest this. And, yeah, it rightfully dropped. So, good job by Weibo, again, to throw a little bit of their weight around. We'll see if this continues into a potential bot lane dive. There's no TPs to respond here for FPX.
That should slow up Shadow. I mean, he's already out of mana, and he's got to clear this top side, right? So, at least something to worry about. Hook does not land. What a prediction! Hung forcing the flash out of awesome. That was awesome.
Wow, what a hook getting him out of the Lantern. That's one way to deal with Thresh. Is Awesome going to be sent all the way back to his inner turret, and that will net a couple plates and a couple for the Aphelios, a couple missed waves and golden experience for the Jinx. Good play there by Hong, as Jwei is going to hit 6, and we're going to see what he can do.
He's got a box. I love making these plays.
Aftershock.
All right, I like this. Hong doing a good job, though, eating those walls to make sure that Late is able to walk out without a problem, but I respect it.
That was crazy. Wasn't a huge fan of that one. Didn't exactly know what we were doing there for Jwei, but, you know.
Trying to make sure they don't get more damage on the turn, you know?
Yeah. But what do we really
try?
get there, Yanni?
Super Mega Death Rocket? Not gonna land. I respect that too. You gotta miss 100% of the shots.
That one I do respect. That one actually has a chance to like slow down tempo, whereas the Thresh play really did not. So we'll see if any plays come up where the box might have been valuable. We're going to use that one though, regardless of what we think here up here on the casting desk, and the game going to continue here. Again, FPX really feel like as time goes on, the scaling of the Corki, of the Jinx, could kick into critical mass later on. But the onus of execution, really tough for them to play this composition. I just think they're really going to struggle to see who catches the dredge lines, who can catch a Xin Zhao engage, and who can deal with Ambest in the backline. These are all questions that I'm not sure if FPX can truly answer outside of an unreal performance from Sheer and Jwei trying to manage this with a little bit of a hodgepodge front line between Sion and Thresh.
FPX moving as a unit, 5 strong to head over to these grubs. Breathe does have teleport available, and the grubs have been started by Shadow. Teleport's going to be coming in behind the pit. Hong and Light on one side. The pincer could come in hot and heavy soon. They're going to take one away, but the team is split up. There's going to go over the wall, and the hook misses on Xiaohu, but Xiaohu's going to die on the one side. Meanwhile, in the back of the fight, Shadow is caught, and he is down. Breathe gets that kill. Tian is going to fall, and FPX is winning the fight. Asuma's getting excited, but Sheer trying to flash to get in the way of Hong, and he wasn't able to do so, but they're flashing after Hong. They've got plenty of damage and the kill, but there is the ultimate coming through from Breathe. He's caught in a 1v4. Can he find Care? He can't find Care. He don't care. Double kill picked up, and FPX running that fight.
And this series continues to get more interesting as they ran the fight, but it started with Xiaohu running it down. The Weaver's Wall got off on the wrong side of the freeway, was taken down by FPX, who really isolated him out, got nothing done in the fight. And then Tian, yes, he traded out for Shadow, but he traded out. The resets came in on Jinx, and this double Marksman comp just won a fight at second grubs. That's huge for FPX moving forward as, again, Xiaohu, I don't know why he got off on this side, and I love that, really the turn from Jwei, so convincing onto Xiaohu, who got the fight off to such a positive start. Sheer's doing a really nice job of buying space. Aphelios having trouble interacting in the back half. And with Awesome getting another reset, Hong being so far behind, they chase down the Nautilus ball for another reset and make this fight look easy. With a nice save from Jwei in the back half to really follow up this public execution and save Care. That was looking pretty nice, pretty schnasty at the back half there on the Thresh.
Yeah, that was a well-timed hook. Oh, it's just
nice toggle. We missed the vision break. That was big. We return live. Dives on both sides. Top laners going down.
Oh, we're going to get the Lantern in for Care. He's going to take one turret shot on the other side, but
oh, that's big.
Breathe is able to dodge out of the rocket. Now the question is, how long is it going to take for them to take out Breathe?
Okay, he's dead.
He's trying to sprint away, but yeah, no Dracount step left. He's going to
gonna
sidestep. Who's going to... Oh, he might give the kill to Awesome here. This is really bad. Breathe. There wasn't a good person to give it to, but man, that's rough.
I would have rather have given it to Corki than the Jinx.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, that's a bit of an oopsie there. So on the back half, we'll say that because that play took longer for FPX, that did slow down the tempo a little bit. There's still one grub on the board. FPX, though, sticking with their strong side bot, will start getting through this dragon, and Corki going to start looking at that turret. As things still look good here for FPX. Again, they have a little bit of a gold lead. They have a ton of scaling on their side with the double marksman and the Lilia. And for Weibo, we said early on that the onus was kind of on them to make some plays here, Yanni. The first few plays we've seen from them have not been good. Xiaohu has really not had an impact on this first pick to Leah this game. I know he got counter-picked, but it's been Kara having a much bigger impact on this game and, frankly, on this series.
Yeah, that first ultimate was not it for Xiaohu, and now we have to start talking about, well, if it ain't going to be Xiaohu on his Talia, it's got to be Light on this Aphelios. Remember we talked about this is one of his better champions that he's played throughout his career. Champions that are seen as being out of the meta just a little bit, but Aphelios has had a couple of picks. I mean, now I'm looking for Light to be the guy because he hasn't been disrupted. But the problem is, Awesome is just ahead by quite a bit, even though the gold is even.
And, I mean, he's going to have so much range to pack, too, later on. This Nautilus can be paper in the front line if you do stall it out well. I just think that the way they fought into that Scion, the ability for Sheer to hold space against the Aphelios, was so important in that last fight. And could be really important in future fights here. It's going to be something that Weibo has to deal with. But at the moment, Weibo getting control over this top side. Xiaohu has not been spotted hovering up top. They already sacked the bot outer turret, so going to look to secure top outer. Care doing a nice job of respecting this. As Weibo actually snows us all the way into the red buff. Now we might get a fight or a skirmish.
All right, let's see if we can blow up the Nautilus, but the Knockham's going to go on to Carry. Here comes the public execution.
The synergy.
He got pulled away! Oh, the anti-synergy, as you said, and Awesome is going to get a kill, and it's going to be time for him to potentially reset.
Sheer.
Light's going to have to flash over the wall, but they're going to land the knock-up on Sheer, but no Swirl Seeds have landed. The hook just to get over the wall. Jwei trying to get close, but that play was doing nothing, and now the play is split. He's got to flash back over the wall. Awesome on one side, Sheer on the other side. Shadow ready to go, trying to make plays. Sheer in the thick of things, knocking up two. They're going to look for Tian. Tian's going to go down. Awesome gets another kill. Will they find more? Flash, knock up, chunked, but Breathe in melee range, cutting them up. Awesome, going a little too far, but he flashes the wall to find Xiaohu. He's in melee range of Breathe, and he don't give a damn. He picks up another one. Triple kill for Awesome.
And FPX, they're looking not just to win a game, but actually win the series, and looking good in this one as, again, that force from Weibo. It was a good pick on Care, but this synergy coming out from Hong and Breathe, the dredge line pulled him out of the public execution that was being perfectly set up by a depth charge. So Weibo not on the same page. That was critical for making sure this fight went sideways. As again, look at this depth charge from Hong. It's good. It's going to ring true onto Care. The dredge line, though, yoinks him out of the public execution. And the Lantern yoinks him out of being on the wrong side of the free state, or the freeway on the Weaver's Wall. Xiaohu gets stuck in the back half. Light's in a terrible spot, has to flash out. And then the space bot from Jwei. I know this is a little bit funky, taking the death sentence over like this, but he stalled and corralled Weibo in as Shadow and Sheer were able to rotate. And Sheer, again, he goes down in this fight, but the Scion was so big, created so much space. He did his job and more in this one in helping the Jinx clean up.
This champion is a menace, my friend. I mean, he's tanking up so much. Breathe is at least finally able to get in there.
Yeah, and then
Awesome. Yo, I respect the hell out of this. This guy has played incredibly this game. And look at the picture-in-picture. We're in a fight. Superman gets Death Rocket, not going to land. The Herald does go down. Let's see if we're going to get any more fighting. Good dodges on the Swirl Seeds. Tian onto the side. Hook coming down on the Sheer. But Hong is caught out. The knockup is there. They found Awesome. Awesome down to half. Awesome is dead as Breathe is chopping him down. Sheer's on the other side trying to buy space, but he goes down. But multiple members going to sleep. Can they capitalize? This is Care's fight to win, but he can't get close. He's got no mana. Breathe looking to walk out of this one, but he can't dodge out on enough Swirl Seeds. It was a disaster, but the crisis was averted Or was it? Wait, Care. He's looking to kill Light, but he gets knocked up. He's got to flash away. Hook goes down. Shadow finds Light, and now he's gone golden. Lantern. But the Lantern is there. Tian is walking up. Tian, why are you walking up to this? That's why you sustained just enough to survive. No mana on the members of FPX. It was ugly, Cubby, and I'm not really sure who won it. But FPX are still hanging tough.
A 2 for 2, Herald secured, but you'll take the team that was down, probably got more shutdowns. Is that going mid? Will just miss out on Tian, does delay his recall, which is important as we are 25 seconds before the Dragon. Potential for more fights here, Yanni, as with some of the key summoner spells being down. Of course, Awesome blew both his summoner spells to clean up the triple kill in the previous fight. He ends up eating the public execution and being taken down by Breathe in this fight, which made things a lot closer for Weibo and really forced a hero fight out of Shadow, who played great in this one. Honorary shout out to Jwei too, who I think bought a lot of space, as this hook on the Hong is what gets the good start going here. Responds to that depth charge, or I should say dredge line that connected onto the Scion, but Breathe gets into the back line. That all just goes sideways from Light. That could have been really impactful. That connected. Shadow flashes in on the re-engage, as this fight is everywhere. And it really ended up being even in the back half, because Kara was down mana. He was and also the heroics of Jwei with that Lantern. As Breathe. We got to return to live, because another fight being set up. Breathe not spotted yet.
All right.
Oh, they found
Does finally get spotted out. Hook does not land, but look who gets pulled in. It's the Scion. Rift Herald is going to get deployed in the middle of the fight, maybe looking for knockups and CC. But now, Dragon is low, going in, and Tian takes it away. Now he's alive for now, but Breathe. He finds Awesome. Awesome gets shielded, but it's not going to be enough. He stands tall and dies, but there's multiple members. It's Benny by time, but on the backside, Tian is trying to buy some space to protect his team. He ends up going down for it, but it could have been a lot worse, Cubby.
Shadow's been so big in these fights. He survived a couple, getting really strong on this Lilia, as that was a big sleep to stall that one out and make sure that even though the Dragon went down to Weibo, it was FPX that won out on the skirmish.
What a game this has turned out to be.
This has gotten crazy the last few minutes.
These fights are crazy. Cubby, we said at the top of the day that after what we saw IG do to top esports, anybody can win any given game in the LPL. We weren't sure if FPX could prove it, but they're doing their damnedest to do so right now.
This Scion holding the front line, it's making things so hard for this Talia that's been behind, and Aphelios as well. But in the back half, I know Awesome falls, but Shadow, he's 8-3-7 on the scoreboard. When we get back to live, has that Zhonya's. And man, when a Lilia gets that big, said this was a pick that scales strictly off economy, Shadow's damage has been very significant in this game, Yanni, as he's been doing work on the Lilia pick. And you got to believe that when Awesome gets those sums, that flash back up, how much harder are fights going to be for Weibo, who have to deal with this extremely fed Lilia and Jinx in the hands of FPX.
Game 1 MVP, looking to make it 2 straight and looking to lead FPX to their first win in Group Ascend. They're looking to try to dive on this top side. We see a teleport coming in from the Talia. The Otacon has been aggroed, but it doesn't look like they're going to stick around for it.
Yeah, they don't want that. Just fix your waves. Again, I think that if you play for the Jinx Flash Timer, which they do have it back, really important for Awesome and FPX that they have that one. Do you like, though, how they're able to group with the Scion and throw their weight around a little bit? I was a little bit concerned as to who would catch things outside of the Scion, but if Scion's there, then that's the person who's able to face check these brushes and catch a lot of the skill shots, then engage that can come out from Weibo Gaming as Sheer, again, blinding this champion. He's down on the scoreboard, but his value has been nothing but up in these fights, as he's been really big on this tank pick.
Yeah, Scion, you don't really care how much gold you're down, how many CS you have.
Your W makes up for it, you know?
Yeah, as long as you're thick enough to be in the fight, you're making impactful plays with your ultimates, and you're knocking up a hell of a lot of squishies, and that's what he's been doing in this game. But as you mentioned, the gold lead, not that far apart. Weibo still not very much in this game, Cubby.
I think the big thing, too, I mean, this game has gotten really hectic. I think the Weibo's engages this game. They have to be clean. Like, even that fight, finding Awesome, we saw the flick miss. You can hold the flick as Xiaohu and wait for something like a public execution to land, which it did on Awesome, and guarantee the fact that W comes through. Like, these fights, they have not been clean, and when you don't have a clean fight against a Jinx, against a Corki, against a Lilia, who can really ramp throughout it, and the flexibility that this Thresh has really brought the front line for FPX, we don't see a lot of this champion these days, Yanni, but Jwei's been making really good use of the death sentences and the lanterns to really play in that backline with his teammates, but also make sure that he's empowering both them with connecting CC and his front line being able to walk up as they have those lanterns in their back pocket if they need it.
Yeah, Brother's got 100% kill participation right now. This is, you know, after that first death early on, I was a little worried, but he's really put it together in these fights where he's been really important. Not every death sentence is going to land, but his lanterns have been on point. The Flays, as you mentioned, buying space. He's really done a lot. As
Hong is going to be caught.
He's going to go to the wall. He's going to be asleep for this fight.
I don't like that.
Pulling the trigger a little early as Shadow. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Cubby.
Yeah, I just don't think the Swirl Seed was required. I think you get the flash out of Hong either way by just threatening that Q from the Scion. As you can see, this skirmish, this forever fight, as Shadow is hitting these balls, he's ramping up with that passive, that move speed. Actually going to try and get in here and maybe yoink the Raptors. Let's be a little bit careful.
Just trying to tag up as much damage as he possibly can.
Okay.
Xiaohu is forced it back, dragging him 45 seconds. Remember, critically, Tian took away that last dragon, so it's not going to be a sole opportunity for FPX, but just sole point. 55 seconds, Baron's going to spawn, so we could see a little bit of time on the map with 3 major objectives up, Cubby.
Breathes hunting for Care. Care, all that.
All right, Care.
Phosphorus bomb. Okay, going to be enough to buy some space away from Breathe. I will say, giving over a lot of Infernal Drakes to Weibo can be dangerous. They have 4 members that are building damage. Zim will get tank items now, but this Ambessa and a lot of the champs could really be empowered. Obviously, same thing for FPX. I just don't think that you want to allow for Weibo to stack up 3 or 4 of these dragons, and stopping them at 2 could be big, but at the moment, Weibo don't have control over that bot side of the map, and before Dragon spawns, have really pulled Otacon aggressively. Is that Weaver's Wall might just secure it? And yeah, FPX going to drop it for that sole point.
Yeah, now they're kind of lost here. They're not going for this dragon. We see some pings on the mid lane, but they don't have a wave there quite yet.
And no one's on the dragon.
Yeah,
you can't rip Baron at 25. I think that this is like fake pressure but they actually might want to
wait,
fight.
we want to just go. We want to just go. It's a 4v4 for right now. Tian is the one that gets tagged. The Shadow going to get some movement speed from the Baron. Tian so low and out of this fight. Hook does not quite land, but here's a multi-man sleep. It's going to be only one because the cleanse gets used, but so much space. Xiaohu's on the wrong side of the fight, and Care finds him, and he's going to look to find Tian on the backside, but Breathe is able to get in there, and Light is doing a lot. Awesome gets knocked up, but now they're going to turn onto Hung, and Care is able to flash back over the wall to get away from Breathe, and Light will fall too. FPX are creating discourse in these fights, and they have an opportunity to take the Baron and shock the LPL.
Oh, they got to stick around for it. They have Shadow. There's no Smite. Breathe has a TP. No public execution if he wants to contest this. But FPX, it's not just going to be a game win tonight, Yanni. They sure as hell want that series win. Might be able to do so against Weibo. As again, with how hectic this mid game got, some of the carries for FPX got astronomically fed. You're looking at a 9-3-8 Lilia, a 7-2-12 Jinx. These are solo queue score lines. And FPX making good use of these champions in this fight, as I thought Care played this one really well. It's an aggressive TP into the back half. With Tian chunked out early, Care manages the back half of this fight really well to distract Weibo. It cleared a lot of space for Awesome, who a big catch on the Xiaohu, again out of position. Xiaohu not having a good series. But look at Care in the back line. Light cannot follow up onto Awesome, who was depth charged. Breathe has to retreat, has to try and peel for the rest of his team, and cannot do so as Care managed that fight brilliantly on the back half, utilizing the Valkyrie and the Flash really well to take down Tian, pressure Light, and avoid dying to Breathe. Great fight from FPX as they come back out with Baron on their shoulders and a dragon in their sights.
The old Corky Pincer gets him every time, Cubby. Let's see if Weibo is going to fight around for this dragon or just let it go. Remember, it is not soul, it's just soul point. So Weibo will not go after it. They will allow more time for Light to scale.
I mean, again, if Light scales, it's nice, but you're always going to be outranged by stuff like the Lilia, like the Jinx, and you have to get through a Scion. Seen that be quite tough. Light has no cleanse, so if another ball like that connects, the sleep could be deadly. No Mikhails on the side of Weibo either. As Care, making sure that Baron's played in at least 2 lanes. He's going to be prepping this bot lane and working on the inner here in a moment.
FPX shoving in this mid wave here with this mid turret down to about half HP, 4 strong right now. Looking to take this one out. They're going to be able to bail out Awesome as well if they want it. It looks like Weibo, no ability to fight, but Care gets picked off on the side lane. Huge for Weibo.
Yeah, there was no flash available on Care. I didn't exactly say how that one happened. I'm going to imagine it was a public execution from Fog into that Weaver's Wall. So good side lane set up from Weibo that Care falls victim to.
He flashed in that last fight away from Breathe.
No flash, so good punish. As FPX not quite able to link up and prevent that against the Corki, and will really slow down the Baron. As, yep, okay, not even from Fog. It's going to be a point break. Yep.
Oof.
That hurts.
That's tough. You know what? We talked about how FPX is not a perfect team. They still have a lot of work to do, and they are prone to still making some mistakes, and that is a big one. Because their Baron value, not going to be as high, right? Look at this Baron power play. It's only about plus what? 1,100?
Tian.
Maybe less. There's a teleport. Tian on the backside. Awesome is cut off for right now, but he's able to operate at least a little bit, but Breathe up front.
Can't really auto.
A lot of damage. The knockup is there, and Sheer's going to go down, but a couple members going to be put to sleep. Big knockups there, but Awesome is still A-okay. He's going to get slowed up by Light, rooted up as well, but they're looking for more. Shadow is doing so much. He's so fast, but Light trying to make a hero play, and he gets punished for it, and he goes down. And now the rest of the fight, Shadow is zooming in. The Legos are on the ground. Breathe takes out Care, and Shadow, he wants more. He's always wanted more of this game, but he won't get it as he's forced away.
Shadow still continues to be massive in this game, but Weibo with the numbers advantage really catch Jwei way out of position under that turret. Managed to get something back, as that's a lot of shutdowns that go over to themselves, and they keep this game within 2K gold. As again, numbers advantage able to snowball this one through. I think importantly enough, Jwei just way too far up under that turret, was way out of position. But Shadow and Awesome, they're the two ones where, again, we said they're fed. These solo queue numbers are big. I want you to watch Awesome buffer this zap coming up. It's what really, through this play right here, yep, that route, was able to get that zap onto Tian. That opened up another reset for him. Light did flash in to kill Awesome, but ends up going down to a well-played fight from Shadow. Gets the Zanyas off during the W. Can do that on the W, taking advantage of that mechanic. As Shadow survives and Light being no flash in the next fight, you got to imagine that's going to be the focus for FPX.
Cubby, this is a crazy game, but crazy is our game here in the LPL. Now, a couple critical summoners, Care and Awesome. Their flashes are coming up. Shadow's got his flash. Sheer's got his flash. Like, everybody's got their flash on FPX. And as you said, not Light. He's got Cleanse, but you can only cleanse so much. Looking for Jwei to be the one to kick things off with a big hook.
That is the big one. Double monster objective spawning here in 90 seconds would be a soul for FPX. So FPX can threaten the soul just to rip the Baron. Keep that in the back of their mind too, because with Corki and Jinx, we'll shred that one quickly.
Awesome on 3.5 items right now. Light on a firm 3. We'll see if Awesome is able to get his 4th item before the next fight starts. But right now, these inventories are looking mighty fine, and Shadow is looking mighty scary.
Say, a Rywise on this Lilia too. We talk about the range advantage that FPX has with the Corki, especially the Jinx, the Lilia. You throw a Rywise on top of that for Weibo to deal with. I mean, if a Q lands in these fights, the front line, the ability for FPX to control this, the space, is going to be way higher in this fight. And keep in mind, I mean, anything that connects now onto Light could just spell his doom from Shadow, as he is the one that is flashless and really has to be protected here by Weibo in this setup.
You saw Xiaohu chunking out Sheer just a little bit. He's got that Rabadon's death cap. Sheer with the sidestep. Hook not going to land on a Hong, and Sheer will be saved by the Lantern once again. Jwei has been good at placing them in perfect spots.
Sheer going to hit the base too. Does have that TP to come back. As Weibo, they're going to drop that bot lane. Did make it all the way to the inner. They will sack that to make sure that they are 5 strong on mid with Sheer TPing in. Shadow with the passive is going to keep it going on to Breathe.
Breathe is going to go to a sleep. Tian a little too far up, and a hook lands onto the Nautilus. Hong's going to go down. Sheer is going to flash away. The resets are out is Awesome.
It's all FPX.
Has a lot of room right here. Flash hook! It burns the cleanse out, so Light has no sums, and he's going to get run down by the deer and the rest of the squad, but he gets out as much damage as he can before he falls.
Shadow.
Breathe on top of Awesome. Awesome trying to live, but he can't. But Breathe will breathe his last, as Xiaohu can only watch as the soul will be claimed by FPX.
And Shadow's looking to clinch this game for FPX again. With how bloody this game's gotten, absolute solo queue numbers being thrown up by a few of our players, as Shadow monumentally fed in this game as the Lilia. And no matter how much chaos takes place around him, he's the one that keeps on throwing out the Qs, throwing out the swirl seeds, and ramping up throughout these fights, spelling the doom of Weibo. As I gotta say, this one started off. I didn't love this engage from FPX on to Breathe. Feels awkward. Sheer throwing himself in there. Feels awkward, but they win the front to back thanks to how tanky Sion is compared to the Nautilus, who threw his life away to really keep that backline busy for FPX. Then the Raiwai's the ability to close in the space. Jwei burns the flash, gets the cleanse off Light, who, I will say the green-white setup, I do like that for Light in these fights, but was just not enough. His picture-in-picture, you called it out, Hong's dead, and Shadow's out.
Yeah, that's despicable. That should never happen. You got to be careful with that sort of thing, because now it's a 5v4. Baron is available on the map once we're out of this replay, and Tian is going to die. He's going to get knocked up. He's going to fall. FPX are going to go and take their second Baron of the game, Cubby.
Again, so tough to deal with Shadow. The Raiwais makes it all that much more harder to space this Lily, or really just deal with everything that she's throwing out. The saving grace, you got to imagine if Weibo have any chance, it has to be Breathe in the back half. He is quite big on the Zambesa. But between Infernal Soul, the 4+ items coming in on these Marksmen and the Lilia, and now Baron to boot, this might just be the doom of Weibo in a surprise 2-0 here for FPX.
Weibo in dire straits, Cubby. They are sinking to the bottom of the soup as we speak. We'll see if they're able to wade their way out somehow, some way. But it's going to be difficult as the siege is on in the top side.
I love how Shadow's the one who's stopping things mid, too, because he knows with his move speed, he can just always be involved in these fights regardless. Sheer doesn't want to separate from his team because he wants to tank things up in the front line. And with these objectives falling, resets onto Awesome. Sheer takes a lot with Care.
People are getting low. Care's almost dead.
That's a lot of
Care's got to get out of there. Are they going to turn around?
Half.
Breathe got hooked. The Flay is in. They're going to go. Public Execution on the backside. Manages to find a kill. Breathe is going to be in stasis from GA. Shadow's away from the team. The rest of Weibo's around. The hook was mistimed. And there's a huge seismic shove. And they find a couple as Weibo are able to stave off FPX.
Yeah, just too far up, too split, and in the choke, the Talia is so valuable, so hard to push through for FPX as Weibo get to stick around in their base, and Xiaohu has had a tough game, a lot tougher than what it looks like on the scoreboard, steps up huge and finds a couple massive flicks to keep Weibo in this game.
Xiaohu finally making the play we needed him to make. When the chips were down back against the wall, he saves the game to give Weibo one more fight, perhaps.
And Light, the damage being pumped out from this Aphelios, again, a pick that we aren't seeing quite as much anymore, but Light's done a nice job of managing these guns. Blue-purple, a great combo, and the Infernum gun was burning through the back half of FPX here, enabled Breathe to get in on the back half. The member that we really highlighted as has to step up and be big in these fights. That GA and him engaging there, I know he goes down, but it did buy enough space to make sure that Xiaohu could hit the flick and Weibo could win the fight. We'll see what Breathe gets. You got to assume at this point he's got to sit on that GA. Tian also has a Guardian Angel available now. But as well as Awesome, as he, being down Flash now, made sure to complete that one before the Grievous or LDR or potential Mortal Reminder coming in. So a lot of GAs and luxury items coming in now, Yanni, and we are at the point where any big mistake from either team will just spell the doom of the game, as with Inhibitor down, any mistake from Weibo, that's going to be it.
Weibo have made many mistakes. FPX are known for making mistakes so far. Flash hook does not land. Jwei wanted to put the nail in the coffin. Gonna have to flash away. Xiaohu, the knockups are there. Big blocks coming out from Hong. Shadow is golden, and he gets seismic shoved, and he goes down. But it's got to be Awesome, who's got to try to find a way to get close, and he just can't. It's a 1-for-1 for now. Hook does not quite land. They get the turret, but nothing more.
Light's been able to hold strong on the Aphelios, and FPX another bit of a botched engage there, as I like the idea on the Xiaohu, but no chance to get through that. And Shadow was really caught out. Again, no flash, had to burn the Zhonya's early. I think importantly enough, flash is going to be available for FPX as we are approaching that Elder Dragon fight where truly anything can happen in this game. As again, I don't understand why we're forcing this hard. And again, Shadow like pushing through this. Yes, they get the turret, but you put yourself in a really rough spot there against Nautilus, flashless, and fighting a front to back. I think for me, the front to back has been what has really hurt FPX with them pushing forward so hard. I think that playing the front to back where they have to push into Sion or try and get past Sion to get to your backline, that's where the fights that FPX have been winning. With that happening and the Shadow able to go crazy in the back half as well, as we're seeing that Light did indeed take Gathering Storm. That is quite nice for him. as well as Awesome. So both getting some mileage out of that in the back half. But man, with everything up for Elder, Yanni, the hopes come down to this. It feels like FPX, they've taken so many steps necessary for them to be up in this game and be in position to actually not just win a game, but win a series against one of the stronger teams in the LPL and Weibo. But with an Elder Drake, all that good work could go to the wayside here as anything can happen.
All bets are off, Cubby. FPX is forced at some inopportune times and have found themselves in a position of strength, but with the threat of losing an Elder looming. Remember, Tian stole a dragon earlier.
He's
you know he's liable to do it again.
Him and Xiaohu are both flashless. These swirl seeds from Shadow, if it finds either of those members, will be significant.
All right, Breathe is not quite close to the fight yet. Sheer just trying to buy some space for his squad. Xiaohu is just throwing rock after rock, but they're not quite landing. Breathe gets spotted out, and here comes the Elder. It's been started up. There is a ward on it in the pit. What a hook. What a hook.
Hung's
they
caught.
Hung. Beautiful play by FPX. The Weaver's wall is there, and Shadow's going to go over the wall. He's going to flash on the priority targets. Light is cleansed, but you can't cleanse that. He's low. He's trying to survive. Public execution for Breathe on the back line, and Shadow crashes on him. Breathe is caught between a rock and a hard place. He's slowed. He's down. FPX, do you believe they take the 2-0 over Weibo?
Oh, the Phoenix had to die a lot to bounce back, but no one is able to take down FPX for the 5th time in a row in Group Ascension. They pick up their first series win after quite the surprise in a 2-0 over Weibo Gaming.
Where were you when FPX got their first win in Group Ascend, a team that we dismissed as being on the bottom, contending with Team WE as the bottom 2 in the group, and they drag Weibo into the soup?
And what a win. I love seeing the teammates praise Shadow there. What a win for him. Again, a player who has had trouble just keeping a starting seat in the LPL. Won the starting seat even in this team. Helped them manage to make this group Ascension in the first place, playing with those 3 seeds. And now carrying games like this, going to be a double MVP for him likely in the back half of this game, Yanni, with that Lilia going turbo throughout the fight. What a great bounce back for Shadow. Is I feel like his form, his level has really risen in this split and is a big part of the reason why FPX not only find themselves in this group, but also now taking wins against teams like Weibo. As FPX, we were asking for them to improve in this double round robin, and it looks like over time we have seen FPX have better looks. We didn't see the same mid-game collapses. We still didn't see it be perfect, but much cleaner compared to the last 2 series they had tonight, Yanni, and managed to find that elusive series win.
And if I'm NIP and I'm Thunder Talk, I'm worried. I'm shaking in my boots because FPX, listen, Weibo, they got a good squad. They definitely did not play their best, but FPX, this game was no gimme. This team can win games. I love that you praise Shadow because Tian has been a great jungler for as long as he's been in League of Legends competitive, and he looked like a peasant today. Shadow ran all over this guy.
I just can't believe how big that Lilia got again, with how bloody that mid game was. Solo queue numbers just ended up being put up by really the entire lobby, but it was Lilia and Jinx, the big benefactors of those mid-game skirmishes, as Shadow wasn't able to go turbo this game. Again, like sitting after, it was like 3 fights in a row, and I was like, oh my god, like the Jinx is like 6-2-10 and has an IE. And Shadow, we saw the early Zanyas make a big difference as he was 8-3-7 after like the 2nd or 3rd big game fight in a row. So really the sloppiness of both teams, it just ended up being that the carries were the ones that were granted the gold for FPX, and they were the team that really executed their team comp better. I feel like the Scion Jinx, Lilia was just a much better core at the end. Sheer did a nice job of holding the ground. Jwei did a decent job of being malleable in the fights as the Thresh, helping out both the front line and the back line, and it was FPX did a better job playing out their comp and find a surprise win against Weibo.
Yeah, I have to say, out of FPX, very impressed by everybody's play. I don't think one player on that team played a bad game. I think they all played pretty damn well. It was a well-earned win. I see you looking like you just sucked on a lemon. Who do you think played a bad game?
You know, it wasn't a bad game, but when a game gets that bloody, you see some bads.
That's decision-making. That's a macro thing.
It is.
That's a macro thing. The micro was there.
I saw
Jwei,
some
little suspect on some flash hooks.
I was about to say Jwei was a little bit of a flipper that game. But that's
everything else,
no.
Everything else was great. The Lanterns more than make up for it.
That's it was solid there from Jwei. He definitely helped out with making sure that both the front line and the back line could play safely. Lanterns were communicated well, and usually don't see a lot of Thresh. We haven't seen him really crop up even in Fearless, but you're just seeing more champions. Has been a champion that has been ignored, I think, for very good reason. But hey, Aphelios Nautilus, you have a Jinx in your team. That is one of the matchups where you can play Thresh, and Jwei being willing to bust that out and really be that makeshift front line and back line to help assist his team and provide that flexibility that the Thresh can on the Rift. Ended up being big that game.
Yep. Sometimes you don't have it with the hooks, right? Sometimes you're not hitting all the flashy hooks. Not everybody can be Mad Life, but on Thresh, it's what you do with the other tools in your kit. That's where he came up huge. That's why I was like, this guy played a good enough game that he gets some plaudits. Take a look at these damage charts. Light, man,
look at Shadow.
Light tried so hard this game.
Dude,
he tried so hard, but Shadow, yeah. No,
ballistic
right.
from Shadow. Oh
you don't
my
see junglers
God.
do this.
51K from the Lilia. That is a massive game. And again, cannot praise Shadow enough. A player where, again, it feels like he's just been someone that hasn't even been able to keep a seat in the LPL. Like, the impression of him as an LEC player versus an LPL player, LEC fans have a lot better memories of him competing in that league. But to see him really clean things up and have much better form in the past few weeks, and not just for himself as an individual, but also for his team. I mean, he's helping them make Group Ascend, find wins against Weibo Gaming. This is not where we had FPX at the start of the year. So between him coming in, Awesome coming in, and the coaching staff, and Chang's and others, FPX are a team that really has been scaling throughout this season. It's been really good to see.
So happy for this guy. If you had any doubts that he is LPL worthy, they should be silenced this game, this series. Incredible. Potential back-to-back MVP performance. You could give it to Awesome, but I think Shadow should definitely get it.
It's Shadow.
It's got to be Shadow.
Your jungler just did 51k damage. I don't care if
That
you're the
doesn't
leader or not.
happen. Yeah, we just said that doesn't happen. This is the equivalent of Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points, bro. Like, you don't see that happen pretty much ever. Buying so much space. Even in a fight like this, salvaging what was poor to start.
Yeah, I mean, really looking back, Shadow was just so clutch in these games. Again, what can happen on Lilia if you do get up in a game early? I mean, this fight, he's level 16, right? He's got levels on everyone except for Breathe in terms of his opponents. It was just, he got so big so early, and it made the game so hard for Weibo to play later on.
Yeah, this is a champion that is completely dastardly, right? Because you just...
Yeah, look what he's doing to Tian.
Yeah, like the dude just got...
He's smoking him in the
1v1.
fight.
Remember, I said earlier, he ran over this guy. He made him look like a peasant. This is absolutely what he did. And then he's just knowing that, I can just go in on Light, dude. I don't care. Yeah, sure, Light got a lot of damage on the back end, but he's dead now. You don't have to worry about him. You know, Lilia just in... You know, against these melee champions or these champions that aren't super long ranges, are just a nightmare to play against, Cubby.
I mean, got ahead early, started ramping up, and ramped throughout this game. As let's take another look at this final fight.
The nail in the coffin.
Yeah, of course, Sheer. I think Sheer flashing over to find Light there was so big. I'm actually surprised that Light was healing against the Scion. Sometimes you don't see that one happen. And Shadow just running through the entire fight to find a Q on Aphelios is, okay, you know, the way I can casually do. And even fit in some emote spams here in the back half, which I really appreciate. Oh, they're zooming in for it? Yes. Yes. Support BM here in the LPL.
We love that. Look how excited. Look how excited they are. Well-earned victory. Yep, that's well-earned victory. There's not much more you can say.
Chang's kind of reminds me of Golden Glue because it feels like it's just a kid in a candy shop like in the back room. It's like, yeah, go team, we're winning, right? It's always kind of fun. So, hey, props to him and FPX. That's a team on the up. That's a team that's surprising in the LPL, and pretty tough loss for Weibos. They're going to feel the pain from that one. Again, came into the day being like, hey, we aren't really convinced that this is a top 4 team, and leaving the day convinced that they're not a top 4 team, as Weibo is still leaving a lot left to be desired on the Rift.
See who our player of the game is. It's going to be Shadow. Back-to-back. He did it. We bow to our Jungle King as he gets the job done.
7k gold at the end.
Oh, my God.
Holy
Bro led
smokes.
the way for FPX here tonight, and they end week 2 on a high note. Next time out, they'll be against JDG. The competition is only gonna get stiffer. But you know what? If they can take out Weibo, Cubby, I don't know if I'm thinking they're gonna win against JDG, but I certainly think they will put up a fight. Now, this is time for myself and Cubby to depart. Rafa and Bloxer will be covering the last 2 games of the evening. That'll be Thunder Talk versus IG, and then the last game of the day, BLG versus JDG. That's one you're not going to want to miss, but you should really tune in for both of these. So peace out from the both of us, and enjoy the rest of the evening filled with LPL.